Tonight, we're bringing you exclusive reporting from the Florida Keys as the nation's immigration issues are rapidly becoming a human emergency.
For the last 3 days, I-Team investigator Katie LeGrone and photojournalist Matthew Apthorpe worked around the clock getting exclusive access to federal agents as they try to keep up with the record-breaking number of landings happening in our state.
And at the same time, they also witnessed the very real, very human stories of desperate men and women risking everything for the chance to live a free life here in the United States. And new tonight, their series Landing in Florida begins with Border Patrol on the front lines.
Take a ride along the Florida Keys, and it's clear why this 180-mile stretch of blue water Atlantic coastline is a destination for tourists. But look a little deeper.
220, 120.
And this unique arc of islands along the Florida Straits, the southernmost point just 90 miles from Cuba.
For us, it's a border security mission.
Is also the X that marks the spot for people from other countries willing to make the dangerous voyage on water.
They can spend weeks at sea here.
At the chance for freedom on land.
The dangers is the first thing that stands out.
Assistant Chief Patrol Agent Adam Hoffner is with U.S. Border Patrol's Florida sector, where he says the Florida Keys has been dealing with an unusual surge in migrant landings, up 450% from October last year.
This is the most landings that I've seen. Predominantly been Cuban and Haitian migration.
In the 4 days prior to our arrival, Border Patrol had reported 15 separate landings, leaving hundreds of men and women entering the state illegally, often in dangerous homemade rigged-out boats like this one.
I'm surprised when some of these homemade or makeshift boats do actually even make it.
Their arrivals frequently at night, amid cooler temperatures and darker skies.
All right, it's just after 2 a.m. Tuesday morning. We just got a call that there are about 25 to 30 migrants who landed on a boat over in Key West. So that's about 50 minutes, maybe a little less because there's no traffic from where we are here in Marathon. So we are going to head over there now.
So many migrants on scene, we're actually going to bring 2 transport vans so we have space to adequately transport all of them. So here comes our other van right now.
How long can you guys sustain this type of activity where it's just constant like this?
Tighten things up and work, all of the partners provide some extra support.
When we arrive, some of those partners are already on scene.
What's up, guys? Fair warning, we have media with us.
Along with 25 Cuban men and women, visibly exhausted, some even shoeless, but all of them appearing relieved to be on dry land after they describe 3 days at sea.
Are you happy to be here?
¿Y cómo sientes para estar aquí? ¿Estás bien?
For this 22-year-old who agreed to speak with us on camera, the 3-day journey was worth it. She's seeking work to help family who couldn't come.
What do you want from America?
Same for this man, dressed in USA red, white, and blue.
Be able here and help his family and, have a better life.
He arrived needing medical attention after he says he cut his hand simply holding on to a boat they could not control.
As a matter of fact, unless they were holding on, if they let go of the handle, it would, they were unable to stop it.
The boat seen here eventually crashed into a Navy vessel near the base where they all landed. The group says they each paid between $2,000 and $3,000 US to get here. They'll spend the next 12 to 72 hours getting processed before they're released, but kept under federal monitoring as their immigration proceedings officially begin. They join more than 100 additional Cubans who within the same day also made it to shore here.
We've responded to 11 different migrant landings throughout the Florida Keys.
In just 24 hours?
In just 24 hours. We understand that the political climate, may change, and really it falls back to here. We have a border security mission. We focus on what we can do here.
This is life on land lately in the Florida Keys.
As for the politics of it all, Border Patrol quick to leave that debate to the politicians. And there's good reason for it. During the 2022 fiscal year, Border Patrol reported more than 35,000 encounters with migrants here in Florida alone, nearly double from the year before.
Our I-Team gaining exclusive access as federal agents patrol the dire straits of Florida, where a record number of migrants have been coming ashore this year. As the nation's immigration issues continue to fuel heated political debates, the human part of this crisis now coming into sharp focus. And tonight, I-Team investigator Katie LaGrone and photojournalist Matthew Apthorpe taking you there, right to the front lines as agents work to save lives and protect Florida's border.
Let you know we're out here floating south of Marathon.
10-4, that's a good copy.
We're on the water
I was going to run to the Haitian Self-Freighter real quick.
with federal agents
This target at the moment is a little over 16 nautical miles offshore.
from Air and Marine Operations,
Coming up.
a specialized law enforcement division of U.S. Customs and Border Protection. Their mission: stop migrants from making it on land in the U.S. illegally.
It's getting tough because it's a numbers game.
If Florida is a gateway into the country, the Florida Keys is a 180-mile-long central hub where freedom-seeking migrants, mostly from Cuba and Haiti, are often willing to do anything and risk everything to get here.
I've seen people that have shot themselves. I've seen people that have tried to cut themselves.
Marine Interdiction Agent John Apollony has been patrolling the waterways in the Keys
Yeah, 829, 853.
since 2009.
The thought process is if I injure myself enough that they'll have to take me to a hospital.
With so much attention focused on the influx of migrants crossing the southwestern border, here in the southeast,
Here on the ocean, totally different set of problems.
the wave of migrant landings and seaside attempts are also on the rise.
It's the most I've seen since I've been here.
According to U.S. Customs and Border Protection, more than half of all migrant interdictions at sea in the U.S. are conducted by the Miami Air and Marine Branch, which includes the Florida Keys. This year, those units apprehended 139 migrants on water. For comparison, in 2021, that number was 54.
Does something more need to be done to secure our borders?
We have a finite number of agents and assets. So that being said, it does get tougher every day with the more that come, the harder it is on us.
To help control the surge, agents from borders around the country are now doing 30-day rotations here. This agent hails from the northern border in Michigan,
Plotting a course to a possible target of interest.
stopping people from entering the state illegally on water
33.5 nautical miles west of us.
begins with tracking them in the air. Once air crews spot suspicious boats, the Marine team in these high-tech boats move in.
It's been almost daily.
It doesn't take long to get a new alert.
Right now we know of one rustic vessel and possibly a go-fast vessel.
Troy 014 also.
Go-fast boats like these have long been used to smuggle in desperate migrants. These are just a few images of recent captures and the sometimes dozens of migrants hidden inside.
Oh, wow.
On this day, their target is some 40 miles southeast of Marathon.
This is our first interdiction of the day.
As we inch closer, we can see the vessel is homemade, known as rustic for its rickety build, often shoddy mechanics. But it's packed with people, mostly men, a few women, all from Cuba.
Are they typically repeat?
So, yeah, I mean, we've found some that have been, once they run biometrics, that have been into the country before. Sometimes they even have Florida driver's licenses. So they'll make it here, they'll get some kind of status, and then they'll go back for one reason or another.
With partners from the U.S. Coast Guard in tow, the group is given life jackets and quickly transferred to a federal vessel. We get the clear, it's safe to approach.
How are you? ¿Cómo estás?
They smile, some wave at our cameras, answer our questions, even take out phones to capture the moment.
¿Qué quieres de América? Why do you want to come here? In Cuba? Nada en Cuba.
This group of migrants just told us they've been traveling on the water for 8 days to try to make it to America from Cuba because there's nothing in Cuba. And they were just interdicted, which means Coast Guard's they're going to load up on the Coast Guard cutter and they're going to be sent back to Cuba. That's the chance they take.
A closer look at their wood frame boat
Jugs are for water or fuel.
shows just how risky this week-long journey was. The first interdiction of the day complete.
Everybody was safe. That's all you can hope for.
And on to the next one.
And on to the next one.
To our cover story and the I-Team series landing in Florida, they are the images here that make headlines. Scenes of people making that dangerous journey across 90 miles of high seas. Our waterways, in fact, the gateways to America. And while the Mexico border gets all the attention, there's actually been a pretty dramatic increase in migrant landings here. And tonight, I-Team investigator Katie Legrone and photojournalist Matthew Apthorpe taking you inside the process and what actually happens after these asylum seekers make it to dry land.
Outside the U.S. Border Patrol station in Marathon Key,
I'm picking up my nephew.
we met Omar Karkachi.
How did he get here?
He got by the rough.
He hasn't seen his nephew in more than 20 years.
He called me from this office. Hey, uncle, I'm here. Where are you at? I'm here in Marathon.
What did you think?
I say, oh, my goodness.
His nephew among hundreds of Cuban migrants who have landed in the Florida Keys in just the last month. Incidents of people making the treacherous journey by sea and landing on dry ground here illegally are up more than 450% since October of last year, many of them coming from nearby Haiti and Cuba.
No food, no power line, no nothing. Nothing. That's no life. Most of them, they say, I'd rather die trying to get to the freedom than still living here in Cuba. It's very sad.
It's a dangerous voyage to freedom, overwhelming federal agents across South Florida.
It's the heaviest migrant traffic that I've ever encountered.
It's been a very busy 24 hours here.
We're both from Marathon.
For 2 days, we were granted exclusive access to the round-the-clock battle, from stopping migrants at sea before they land.
Why do you want to come here? In Cuba? Nada en Cuba.
To the multi-agency response when they make it to dry ground.
25 migrants appear to all be Cuban. Looks like all from Havana, Cuba.
In just a 24-hour period we were there, Border Patrol responded to a dozen different landings throughout the Keys alone.
Are you happy to be here?
This 22-year-old woman from Cuba agreed to speak with us on camera and explained she's seeking opportunity and work in America. After 3 days on the water in this rickety homemade boat with mechanical issues, the people she came with, visibly exhausted, some shoeless, are patted down for drugs, weapons, then loaded into government vans, where they'll be taken north to Marathon and processed here at the U.S. Border Patrol's main station in the Keys. It's been nonstop.
Every surge has its own challenges.
Peter Daniel is the patrol agent in charge.
I think we're doing everything we can right now.
He grants our cameras limited access inside the station where people who land here illegally are processed.
This is the intake area where we make sure that the migrants are properly fitted for clothing that fits them, that's dry and clean.
Storage bins of non-perishable food and drinks are also on hand. We notice packages of diapers, formula, even car seats.
Do you get a lot of babies, a lot of children?
We've taken in migrant families before with younger children, yes.
We walk a little further to what's known as the detention cell area, where each person is held in a group holding cell, men and women separated. We weren't allowed to videotape the cells, but migrants can spend up to 72 hours here while they're ID'd, fingerprinted, and background checked.
You guys could know within minutes if this person has a nefarious background.
Yes, ma'am.
And what happens if they do?
If they do, then the processing will take a different turn. Instead of administratively, we'll pursue the criminal charge.
For migrants who are not sent back to their country immediately, they can be transferred to a federal detention facility or released to family while their legal case moves through the U.S. courts.
I lived in Cuba for 34 years. I never was free.
Which brings us back to Omar.
When I put a foot in this country, I feel the freedom right there.
Who describes his own perilous trek on water.
And we're here in 1994, 4 people died, 2 marriages, 2 guys and their wife, and 1 10-year-old boy.
The memory still hard 3 decades later.
They screaming, I don't want to talk about that. That's a nightmare for me. I still have nightmare with that.
But today, he says, is a good day.
Wow. I'm very excited, man. Wow. I'm so emotional. He was like this when the last time I saw him.
After a few anxious moments,
he's big.
He spots his nephew.
¿Qué te pasa los ojos? Yeah.
Their emotional reunion perhaps best describes the complexities of the nation's current immigration system. The debates.
The more that come, the harder it is on us.
And what's at stake if nothing.
These migrant trips are incredibly dangerous.
Or everything.
These are all human lives.
Why do you want to be here in America?
¿Por qué quiere estar aquí en Estados Unidos?
Changes.
Ayudar a mi familia. Help his family, his son, his wife.
For us, it's a border security mission.
Of men and women risking everything just for the chance to live a free life here in the United States.
And new tonight, we wrap it all up with part 4, asking lawmakers about the politics of this growing human crisis. I-Team investigator Katie LaGrone and photojournalist Matthew Apthorpe have that story.
When it comes to the politics of illegal immigration in Florida.
Do you believe that something more needs to be done to control our borders?
Florida Senators Chevron Jones and Ana Maria Rodriguez walk traditional party lines.
I believe that Florida should be a state that welcomes individuals with open arms.
Jones is a Democrat representing parts of Broward and Miami-Dade counties. Rodriguez, a Republican from Miami, whose district also includes the Florida Keys.
I don't agree with the overall policy of having an open border and letting everyone in.
So many migrants on scene.
So we showed them our recent findings from the Keys, the state's main seaside point of entry, where our cameras caught the round-the-clock response to migrant landings on shore.
In the last 24 hours, we've responded to 11 different migrant landings throughout the Florida Keys.
In just 24 hours?
In just 24 hours.
And interdictions at sea.
It's the most I've seen since I've been here.
Both reaching record highs this year.
When you see what's happening over in Cuba, when you see what's happening over in Haiti, that's why many of these migrants are fleeing there and trying to find places where they can provide for their families, because it's a humanity issue that we're battling right now.
It's very indicative of what's happening at the national level under the Biden administration, which is basically telling the world that we're open.
Senator Rodriguez, whose parents are from Cuba, where most of the migrants who land here illegally are fleeing, co-sponsored the state's new immigration enforcement bill last session, aimed at thwarting illegal immigration into the state.
I know you supported DeSantis's crackdown on illegal immigration, but how effective has it really been if now we're seeing here in South Florida agents dealing with record numbers of illegal migrants landing ashore?
Since you mentioned DeSantis, he has sent some of these folks who have come here in droves to other parts of the country.
She's referring to the governor's controversial migrant flights to Martha's Vineyard back in September, when Florida paid to fly nearly 50 migrants out of Texas, then abandoned them on the elite Massachusetts island.
So do you think that it was a good use of Florida taxpayer dollars to transport migrants from Texas to Martha's Vineyard?
I think that again, sharing that responsibility with all the other states is a good idea.
I'm not asking you that question, Senator. I'm asking you, should we have paid for it?
I think that states who are on the border, like Florida, Texas, Arizona, and so forth, should also spread that responsibility to other states. So yes, I think that they need to do that.
Any crackdown on illegal immigration is going to be received with a critical view from various sectors, including Democrats like yourself, but at some point, does a crackdown need to happen?
You can enforce the law. You can also work within the boundaries of the law. You can do all of that without treating people like animals.
Neither lawmaker could specifically explain how, as the number of migrants landing on Florida shores continues to rise. I'm I-Team investigator Katie LaGrone, taking action for you.